Well, when one holiday fails, well, you at least hope to try and succeed at the other. And for my San Francisco 49ers, that's what they'll try to do this coming Sunday on a New Year's Eve morning against the Washington Commanders in the nation's capital. Well, where else will you want to be to spend your New Year's Eve at? But nonetheless, last year they spent their New Year's Day in the Sin City, in the gambling capital that is Las Vegas. This year, they get to go to the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. and face the Commanders. So, hopefully this time around, their holiday will be better than what happened a couple of days prior on Christmas. So, the 49ers still in the hunt for the number one seed in the NFC. Unfortunately, they couldn't get a little bit closer to that goal on Christmas because, well, rather than stake their claim as the NFL's best and further their hold on the NFC's top seed, the 49ers instead sacked themselves into a big lump of coal on Christmas night. Brock Purdy had a very bad performance across the board with 4 interceptions in pretty rapid shape against the rabid and ferocious Baltimore defense. I mean, credit to them. The Ravens defense has been pretty good all year. But nonetheless, Purdy succumbed to that Ravens front 4 defense and threw 4 interceptions in pretty rapid fire fashion. And Lamar Jackson in the offense made him pay for all of them. And the Ravens came away in a 33-19 beatdown of my San Francisco 49ers. And for the 49ers also, they were pretty beat up from that performance. There were a couple of injuries in that game that, well, kind of a very bad time to have injury mania run wild as the 49ers try to get that top seed, brother. Meanwhile, for the Washington Commanders, pretty much at this point in the season, they're 4-11, and not exactly a lot of good things going on about them. They're making another change at quarterback. That is, though, if that quarterback is going to be healthy. But before we get into all that, yeah, not exactly a good year if you're in the nation's capital and if you happen to be a fan of the Washington redacted, however many name changes that you have undergone in the last, year or two, however many years since you can't say that name anymore. But nonetheless, the Washington Commanders, not exactly a good year. Sure, there's been some success with Sam Howell at the quarterback position. Many had thought that, he might be the long-term guy at the position after several people at the position. But instead, he has slowly regressed with many turnovers, many bad decision throws. And, as much as I like to say that his offensive line has failed him, the failure to build around that offensive line, some of it also has come from him as well. And hence the reason why Ron Rivera, now that the Commanders have been eliminated from playoff contention, has pulled Sam Howell, benched him for veteran Jacoby Brissett for the last 2 games, mid-game. That's exactly what happened to the Commanders in their last game against the New York Jets. So they found themselves down 21-0 in the first quarter, mind you, against the Jets before Ron Rivera once again made that big switch from Sam Howell to Jacoby Brissett. Keep in mind, when they were down against the Rams, Sam Howell barely even cracked, I think it was like 200 yards, not even 200, much less than that in 3 quarters. Well, Jacoby Brissett only took like 2 drives to do that. Same thing, it's kind of the same story with Jacoby Brissett in that game against the Jets. And from there, Brissett managed to lead a comeback from down 27-7 in that third quarter. And he actually even managed to give them the lead from like that many points down. They took the lead 28-27, but there's still plenty of time for the Jets with less than 3 minutes to go because the Washington defense is also piss poor. And the Jets were able to kick a go-ahead field goal to win the game 30-28. So, yeah, that's pretty much the story of the Commanders. They're beat up. There's very, very many flaws at very skilled positions, and hence the reason why they're 4-11. And also, their head coach, Ron Rivera, is not exactly, at this point, makes a lot of questionable decisions in game time. I'm not saying Kyle Shanahan's the perfect head coach either because, for as good as he's been all year as well, there are still some times where I still question him on a couple of things. So one of those things being, his inability to overcome in game adversity. So that's the thing, Kyle Shanahan, whenever he's down, he's facing a deficit, that's the one thing that, I got to give him some flack on, because whenever he sees players go down, whenever he sees Brock Purdy dealing with the deficit, he kind of doesn't game plan around, oh, well, what can I do to get my quarterback back in the game, try to overcome the odds. Nothing. There's absolutely nothing. And hence why Kyle Shanahan is like, what, 0-38? That's Joe Buck and Troy Aikman kept pointing out on Monday night on Christmas. That's why Kyle Shanahan has faced a lot of deficits. A lot of deficits on Monday night. Not just Monday night, but all time during his time as the 49ers. Just like, oof. But anyway, speaking of Brock Purdy, a lot of people keep talking like, oh, Brock Purdy's not an MVP candidate anymore after his poor showing on Christmas. I'm like, let's be real. Who cares? Who cares about all that? Because he didn't, when the MVP talk first started in the first place, it's like, he didn't give a shit. He really didn't give a shit. Like, look back at his comments when all this talk about Brock Purdy being the MVP conversation started, saying that the MVP award should be a team award. That he even recommended that Christian McCaffrey should be the MVP. And Christian McCaffrey was also like, oh, Brock Purdy should be the MVP. That just shows that both McCaffrey and Purdy don't really care about this award. They don't really care about the NFL regular season MVP. They're focused more on the prize that matters most, and that's the one that stands in Vegas down in February, where they hope to make it. That's the ultimate goal for any Super Bowl team or any Super Bowl player, any of the 32 teams. That's what they should be focusing on. The prize that is there in February, not some regular season award that, oh, I got an MVP, pal. Good for you. Do you have a ring? Do you have a championship to show for it? I'm just saying. It's like Brock Purdy, he really doesn't give a shit. Like, I mean, I can't personally speak for him, but he personally said that himself. A couple weeks ago. So I'm just saying, like, for all those people continue to doubt him. I mean, I'm not saying Brock Purdy's perfect and all that, but let's pump the brakes here. So anyway, Ron Rivera, he officially made, on the Commander side of things, by the way, he officially named Jacoby Brissett the starting quarterback for this upcoming game against the Washington, not for the Washington Commanders, because why would they be facing them themselves? But anyway, Jacoby Brissett is going to be going up against the San Francisco 49ers. He's going to be getting the call to face the 49ers. However, there was an interesting wrinkle that popped up this past Friday, because Jacoby Brissett, he was added to the injury report this past Friday with some hamstring issues. His hamstring tightened up during practice, and he's listed as questionable. So, this is going to be an interesting wrinkle. So, who's going to be the starting quarterback that the Niners are going to have to go up against in this kind of not really that interesting game, but the Niners have to be careful against a very downer team in Washington. You don't want to treat this as, this is going to be an easy game, because no game is easy. Remember? Y'all remember last year against the Raiders? Treat any game like it normally is. Beware of the traps, as I always say. But anyway, Jacoby Brissett may or may not start this game. So if he doesn't start this game, it's probably back to Sam Howell at the quarterback position. So stay tuned closer to game time. Check Twitter, check Instagram, and all that good stuff from your various NFL insiders for more information as it gets closer to game time on Jacoby Brissett's status. In terms of the injury report for both of these teams, the Niners got a full list of injuries going into this game against Washington. Yeah, like I said, injury mania running wild, pal. So defensive tackle Eric Armstead's not going to play in this game again with the foot and knee issue. And at this point, I don't think the Niners are going to risk trotting him out there. Probably not going to play again for the last two games of the regular season. So that's why they got former Chargers defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph Day. So whatever the Chargers decided not to see in Sebastian Joseph Day, hey, we'll take him from you. We'll take Sebastian Joseph Day who cleared waivers, and now he's part of the 49ers. So good run stopper, okay pass rusher, but we need more help in the run defense anyways, because since Eric Armstead went out, the run defense has been It's been pretty So the secondary is kind of going to be a little bit rough, but we'll see how it goes, because rookie safety Jair Brown has also been ruled out with the knee sprain. So the safety position is a little lacking, considering now that Jair Brown's going to be out for at least this game, and considering that Talanoa Hufanga is been gone for the rest of the season with the torn ACL. Veteran safety Logan Ryan is going to have to step up and play well in this game. Receiver Juwan Jennings, the third down receiver, remains in the concussion protocol. I mean, man, that's a pretty rough concussion, but hopefully he'll get better. Hopefully he'll be 100%. Hopefully for at least the next game, or maybe they'll just heal him up for the playoffs. And as such, he's been ruled out. Maybe they'll bring in Danny Gray, the second year, I think he's second year rookie receiver, but nonetheless, if he's ready to go, if he's going to be activated off injured reserve, then that's good news for them. Backup tackle Jalen Moore, the offensive line injuries. Oh boy, he's been ruled out with a concussion. Guard Aaron Banks, he's been listed as questionable with turf toe, despite not practicing all week. So 50-50 chance he'll play. So if Aaron Banks can't go, John Feliciano, the veteran guard, will have to fill in. Corner Ambry Thomas is also listed as questionable with the hamstring issue, but maybe he will play or maybe not. But if you want some positive injury news, here you go. Trent Williams, he left the game with a groin issue back on Monday night against the Ravens. He's expected to play, not even listed on the injury report, so that's good for them. It's at least something for the offensive line. So the only thing to be a little bit concerned about is Aaron Banks. And then at the linebacker position, backup linebacker Oren Burks, he's expected to return to this game after missing a couple of games with a knee injury. In the Washington Commanders side, as I noted, Jacoby Brissett, he's questionable with the hamstring tightness, so we'll see more on Sunday leading up to this game if he's going to play. And then the Commanders, their defense is going to be even more down and dirty, and not in a good way, because they're going to be down their top two corners in this game. Kendall Fuller and Benjamin St-Juste out with this game. Fuller with the knee issue. Benjamin St-Juste in the concussion protocol. So their two top corners in a defense that was already struggling is going to get even more massively hit. And then the offensive line that was also already struggling, it's going to take another hit in this game, because center Tyler Larson and starting tackle Charles Leno Jr. are also out with injury. And then you also have left tackle Andrew Wiley listed as questionable with an elbow injury. So the offensive line continuing to take hits for both teams. And then defensively, going back to the defense, top safety Percy Butler out with the wrist injury. So that Commanders defense, for as much production as they're going to try to defend on that 49ers offense that is going to be angry as hell, they better try to do their best. So the keys to victory for both of these teams. For my 49ers, I'm going to start with Brock Purdy. You got to relax. You got to calm down. You got to learn to not force plays if there isn't anything there. And I saw that on Monday night. As I pointed it out, you have to at least go to your second option if your first one is not there. Don't force anything, man. And yes, I'm glad that Brock Purdy took accountability for how he played in that Ravens game, especially the turnovers. Now you got to turn that talk into action. And that starts by finding your next best option if the first one is not there. Go out of the pocket more. Go off the script. Go on the run in order to cut back on those turnovers that you had on Monday night. As well as those other turnover-filled games that he had, especially during that 3-game losing streak where he was just throwing turnovers, multi-turnover games. So this is a good opportunity for Brock Purdy to learn how to really not force any plays that isn't there, especially on his first read. He really has to get out of his first read if it isn't there. And then defensively, this is also a good game to fine-tune the defense, especially against a Commanders team that, it can be a trap, but at the same time, they're also really struggling. So this game could be defined as a tune-up next week if and will there probably will be something to play for, especially defensively. So there are plenty of things to clean up, especially a run defense that's still trying to integrate Sebastian Joseph Day, generating more pressure and closing the pocket on the quarterback. Better tackling, because there's been a lot of missed tackles in the last couple of weeks, and I hate that. I hate missed tackles so much that it makes me really want to bottle up some paper, like that bad. So better tackling, please. So this game against the Commanders, a team that has nothing but pride to play for at this point, and Ron Rivera trying to coach up his ass to try and save his job. It's going to be a good opportunity for the 49ers defensively to clean a lot of things up. And then for the Commanders, if you want to have a chance to survive and make this a close one, or maybe even try to pull off an upset against this team, well, your pass rush that's been lacking in most of this season, it needs to bounce back from a 0 sack, no pressure showing against a Jets offensive line that's also been bad this season. Like, how do you not get any pressure against one of the worst, if not the worst, offensive lines in the NFL? Like, you still have Pro Bowl tackles in Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. Yes, you let go Chase Young to us, and you also let go the other edge rusher to Chicago. I forgot his name. Sorry, it's not ringing a bell right now. But nonetheless, you still have 2 defensive tackles that can still create interior pressure, yet you can't do anything. You can't do anything else to generate any pressure at all in that game against Trevor Siemian, of all quarterbacks, in that game last week. What the hell? So if you want to have any chance to neutralize the team, to try and slow down Brock Purdy in this game, you got to start with your defensive line. Looking to seize the opportunity to potentially slow down this 49ers offense in an offensive line that, could be missing 1 or 2 key pieces in there, depending on the final game time report. So we'll see if this pass rush can get something going to at least help out its kind of broken defense. And then offensively, whoever the quarterback is going to be, whether it be Jacoby Brissett or Sam Howell, crack the code. Crack the code on the injury-riddled 49ers safety position. So Jair Brown, not expected to play in this game. He's already been ruled out. So Logan Ryan, we'll see if he has a decent step or two. But that leaves the 49ers pretty vulnerable in the deep middle of the field. So whoever it's going to be, Howell or Brissett, depending on how decent or how broken the Commanders are, in terms of the trenches, they got to make some throws to attack what's going to be a weak spot for San Francisco. So you got to find ways to create some plays whenever you can make them. If you're either Jacoby Brissett or Sam Howell starting at that position. So if you want to have a chance, you got to create some plays on all facets, whether it be on offense or defense for the Washington Commanders. So anyway, I don't expect this to be a competitive one. Maybe it will be, depending on if the 49ers treat this game not as respectively as they should. But either way, we'll see how it goes this Sunday. As the 49ers take on the Commanders. I do hope that the Niners win this one convincingly. But if not, if they make it as close as they shouldn't have it to be, then, boy, we're going to have a talk. We're going to have a talk about that. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on this coming game for my 49ers and the Commanders in the comments below. What do you think the score is going to be? What are your predictions for it? Let me know how it's going to go. Anyway, this is DylanLasagna signing out of another preview for my 49ers as they take on the Commanders this Sunday on New Year's Eve. Hopefully the Niners will turn the new year with a W, and let's see how it goes. Anyway, this is DylanLasagna signing out of Very Cold Lasagna, and keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And until the next one, peace out.